a.m. Sipping on a bolt and chewing on pizza. Keeping these words down, nerd like preacher. I'm the way it's loaded up, pleased to meet ya. Who's the buccaneer with the gangster features? Yeah, that's me, that's a nerd like creature. I'll delete ya. Coming on my internet, disrespecting, please I'll leech ya. Lawsuits I'm ducking, chicken this roll reduced to nothing. Torrent stuffing, face these up on easy D's, them high V buzz and the fan in the back. With a new box, smash that stack. Pop that bitch, WC stat. Got a code as a load, doesn't that new Batman? Tell us sing all chat. Top side cider, loaded, emoted, Colonel noted, cracks I wrote it. Key Jen got a pen take down there, says Dan, cause the copy paste is frozen. Just a day in the life of a pirate. What you know about the hot new virus? Got a day just to kick some private. See that new Miley Cyrus. I'm a rapper, I steal music. Got a server, I abuse it. Some say I'm a Top Gun, drop some bombs on a track, cause I'm Tom Cruise it. MC definitely, I'm a sick MC, got a coup in the news. Spam tech on attack on the mic, it's a rap, so get up and cop that booze. I am a pirate. I am a pirate. You walked the plank.
It's not a projection somewhere over the rainbow anymore. It's happening in front of our eyes. The world they want to create, they are in the process of creating, unless we wake up fast. If we do nothing, then what they want is going to happen. What I've been writing about, Spyro, for decades is the development of what I have been calling over the years the technological sub-reality. This is an electromagnetic bubble around the Earth to which we will be connected. See, I mean, we're going to get deep in the esoteric here, but we are consciousness, and we open our minds, we can access infinite levels of awareness. That's why some people can see things and some people can't, because they're stuck in the five senses. And the idea is to isolate, always has been, to isolate human perception in five sense reality. Now, they've done this through various means, psychological, perceptual manipulation means, but the idea is to create this as they are. This is what the 5G satellites and all the poles of 5G down the road are all about. Create this cloud. Ray Kurzweil, a Google executive, talks about this cloud, to which he says the human brain will be connected via AI to the cloud. We talk about the Internet of Things, where all these cars and fridges and everything's connected to the internet. Well, they want to connect the human brain to this internet as well. That's what they call the Internet of Everything. And so, and this is in Kurzweil's own words, around 2030, and how often does that come up that year in many and various guises, humans will be connected to AI, their brain to AI. And in his own words, as AI does more and more human thinking will become less and less until, in his words, virtually negligible. And the human mind will now be the AI mind. We've ceased to be humans as we perceive them. We have then become basically computer terminals on an AI internet. And who controls AI controls human thinking in everybody. That's the idea. And what this means is that if you create what they're now calling the smart grid, is what I've been calling for decades, the technological sub-reality, connected to everything and the human brain, that grid can then be controlled from a central point. And the world they want to create, they are in the process of creating, unless we wake up fast. The way it plays out is fascism, communism, yeah. But actually what it is a form of tyranny known as a technocracy, because they want an end to elected politicians. Elected politicians are becoming more and more irrelevant as the technocrats take over. I mean, look at Gates, he's a technocrat. Look at Musk, he's a technocrat. All these other people, Brin and Page, Wachowski at YouTube, they are technocrats, and they are taking control step by step. And so the idea is that these technocrats replace elected politicians, which is what Gates is doing in terms of the global health situation. I mean, look at it, it's happening. It's not a projection somewhere over the rainbow anymore. It's happening in front of our eyes. And this technocracy would be able to be centrally controlled at a central point. And I said in my books, I think this central point is designed to be Israel. Israel, people don't realize, is pretty much second now only to Silicon Valley in terms of cyber control, cyber security, which means massive control, cybersecurity, and these smart technologies. People like Netanyahu have openly bragged about it. This is where we're heading. To go there, you need dependency. They've created this economic dependency in vast numbers of people, billions worldwide, as a result of what they are doing. And when I say that this pandemic has ticked every box, what did Tedros come out and say? Gates' gopher. He's at the World Health Organization. You might be able to get the virus off cash if you use cash. And I've been traveling since this thing kicked off, and I've offered cash to places where I always pay cash, and they've turned it down. You've got to use a credit card. Not only that, a credit card that is sort of hands-free, not pushing the buttons in, because you might catch the virus off the buttons. And we've got the company that runs the ATMs, the cash dispensers, saying that by the end of the summer, as a result of the virus pandemic, cash will be virtually over as a way of paying for things. Everything ticks in the box, and how some people in the alternative media have been scammed into buying the narrative is just extraordinary. Even Gates, even Musk, even all these other people, Wachowski at YouTube, Brin and Page at Google, etc., Zuckerberg and Sandberg at Facebook, they're still gophers. They're still front men and women. Humanity has been developed to become intellectually clever enough to operate this technology and to build it, but not in expansive consciousness wise enough to see that that's what it's doing. And so we've been moving towards this end game for a very long time, this technological control system, and humans have been brought through and brought through and brought through to be able to create their own prison. Intellectually clever, no wisdom. So this is how I read it. It's been in my books for years. This technology, Spyro, that is rolling out so fast, seamlessly, look at it. Once the button was pressed on this technological sub-reality, the technology has rolled out seamlessly. There's been, nobody's been sitting around a table, strumming their fingers, waiting for some geek in a garage to develop the next level of the control system. It's just kind of appeared. And it appears with loads and loads of cover stories of how it came about. In fact, there was a BBC documentary a couple of years ago. It wasn't very good because the BBC did it, but there was one interesting sequence. It was about Silicon Valley, and they had this sequence of garage doors. And they said, this was discovered behind this garage door. This was developed by this garage door. Of course, they have to drop the garage door now. It's becoming too bloody obvious. Hey, you know, we need another cover story. Too many garage doors. Come on. So what they do is they create front people who are the fronts of the cover story for how this developed. So you've got the Gates cover story with Microsoft. You've got the Zuckerberg cover story with Facebook. You've got the Bezos cover story with Amazon, a massive cult corporation. The idea, as I've been writing for years, is that there is no small business and no medium-sized business, just gigantic cult corporations like Amazon running everything. What has this pandemic done? Destroyed vast amounts of small business and what you call in America the middle class. So you have the Brin and the Page cover story with Google, and then you start to see that the CIA technologically seed funding company, IQT as they call it, and DARPA, the American Pentagon military seed funder of technology, etc. They appear around these companies. It's all a scam, and what's happening is these stories are being developed, and these front people are being brought out. They become very rich as a result, and they are bringing this technology in to build this smart control system while claiming it's kind of random and what have you. And another point, which is very relevant to current events, these front people who become enormously rich by being front people, there's a rider to that. You front this up and you'll become very rich, but a very large chunk of that money has to be spent through philanthropy, like the tax-exempt foundations of Gates and the Rockefellers, etc., on our agenda. And if you look at the funding record of the Bill and Melinda Gates foundations, it again ticks every box virtually of the cult agenda in what it's funding, including Common Core education control in America. You've got George Soros, who has become vastly rich as a result of serving the cult. You know, people say, oh, you have to be very clever to make lots of money on the stock market. Not if you know when it's going up and when it's going down because someone's telling you. You don't have to be clever. Soros's role is to spend a great chunk of his vast amount of money developing the woke mentality, political correctness, which is the population being manipulated to silence itself, the global warming, climate change hoax, mass migration, all these things and also the Arab Spring that Soros money was, and his Open Society foundations were vastly involved in. So that's his area that he puts his money on behalf of the cult. And in terms of Gates, it's health and vaccines. But this is how it works. If we do nothing, then what they want is going to happen. My books are full of stuff over decades that's turned out to be true. This is not because I'm a prophet. It's not because I've sit cross-legged on a mountain and pulled it out of the ether. If you can uncover what this plan is through sweat and effort, which yourself are very much involved in, then you can predict accurately the future by simply exposing the plan. Because if nothing comes to intervene to stop the plan playing out, it will play out. And in exposing the plan, you are predicting the future. The whole point of my life, and everyone else who's committed to this, is to create that intervention so you stop predicting the future and other futures start to play out. And you know, you can look for solutions to problems, and solutions, we are drowning in solutions and they just lead to other problems, and so it goes on. Or you can be sensible and wise and work out the cause of the problem, remove the cause of the problem, and the problem by definition must disappear. And we've had that problem, Spyro, on public display in the last few weeks. We have a handful of people, tiny number of people, even in total, never mind at the core where it's really coming from, who have got billions of people to sit in their homes because they're told to. That acquiescence to authority without personal thought and perception of, does this make sense? No, it doesn't, therefore I'm not cooperating, has allowed a few people to put billions under house arrest. And you know, one of the things I've noticed, I've traveled the world a lot, one of the things I've noticed, we say that, you know, there's this culture and that culture and the other culture, but when push comes to shove in various key areas, people react just the same. You know, we've got Americans under house arrest, Christians under house arrest, Jews under house arrest massively in Israel. We've got Hindus under house arrest in India. So it doesn't matter what your belief system is and your race or your belief system. When push comes to shove, when they press enter, most people react in a predictable way. This is why they could be so accurate in that Event 201 pandemic simulation about what would play out and how people would react, because it's desperately predictable. If we are going to stop this, then we have to remove the cause of the problem, which is acquiescence to authority, doing what we're told without even questioning the validity of it. There's closing in on 8 billion people in the world. The number of people who are controlling events is tiny, infinitesimal at its core compared with that. If we stop cooperating and we start to get streetwise about what's actually going on, and that if you can see a politician, you're looking at a puppet. Some may be willing puppets, some may be clueless, don't know I am a puppet, but they're still puppets. It's in the shadows, it's in the technocrats where it's really going on. We have a man, for instance, in Elon Musk, who is making the night sky disappear to astronomers, who is putting up satellites. He wants thousands to beam 5G, etc. at the Earth. How many members of that nearly 8 billion people have had a say in that or even been asked? That's the level that's manipulating and dictating world events, way above politicians.